this video of my new channel. My name is Valerio Duki and I am a junior programmer here at 42 Barcelona. This channel will be focused primarily on the Vim, the old programming editor that is famous and is known among all the programmers, but is not as used as a lot of other editors like Visual Studio, like Atom, because it's not as user-friendly as they are. So the focus of the channel is to be on how to install them and how to use it in order for it to become more user-friendly and adapted to your own needs and your own choices. Everything that I'm going to do in this video is going to be done in the terminal with comments, not without any visual installer or any visual aid. So I'm going to do everything by commands on the command prompt in the terminal. I'm going to use a Linux because I don't have a Mac as of now, so I'm going to do everything in the Linux, but since Linux and Mac are both based on Unix, the commands are going to be the same and the result is going to be the same. In this video we're going to install Vim 9.0.16, which is the latest version of Vim, but manually with the terminal, because as of now the package installers on both Linux and Mac are not updated, and like Brew on Mac has the latest version of Vim, which is 8.2, and Linux the same, 8.2. But Vim released a new version which is 9.0.16 and is constantly updated. But in order for us to install it, we have to install it manually. Manually, I mean by downloading all the sources file, install it with the script that they created in order to install it, and install it in our own folder. This is very important because in every system based like OS system, there are some commands that are installed in the root folders, like usr bin, like bin, which are already installed as default and are used. And when you install a program, the program is going to insert into these folders the executable in order for you to execute the program that you just installed. But what we are going to do now is to create our folder and put our own binaries, which means our own programs, into that specific folder and run the programs that we want to install it manually by calling them on that specific folder. In this case, we're going just to install Vim 9.0, but you can do it with every basic program that you want. Also, you can do it with Google Chrome if you want. You can do it with a lot of programs that you want to install manually, or that you cannot install by downloading and just executing the .exe file in Windows or the .dmg file in MacOS, but you have to run it with the terminal. So let's just go ahead and do it. So what we're going to do, I'm here in my Linux. So what we are going to do is to go to the vim.org, the website of the Vim, the main website, and go to the download section, to the Unix section, because as I said, I'm going to install it in Linux, and you can do it also with the MacOS. And we're just going to copy this line of code, which is going to clone with the using Git. It means to just download the repository that is written here, that is this link here. You can also go to this link and you see the repository with all the files in it. We just copy it and paste it into our terminal. You can do it wherever you want. So now I'm in the home. As you can see with this command, you can see where I am. Now I'm at the home directory, which is home, and the username. My username is Viduki, but you can do the git clone wherever you want. So for example, you can go to the desktop with the cd command, and then here you can do the clone. And it's going to create a folder called Vim, in which it is going to download all the files from the Git repository. This is going to take a while, so we can just wait a moment. One thing to notice, I'm not going to use a package installer, because with a package installer you can also install packages that are not per default inside the package installer, like with Brew and also with apt or apt-get. You can also add a package that you download and install it with that package installer. But we are not going to do it for the purpose of learning how to install a package manually. And also specifically talking about macOS, the Brew package installer is really heavy and it installs a lot of packages and that are unnecessary for this specific purpose. So in order for you to install the Vim manually without the Brew, you have to follow this procedure. Otherwise, you can just install the Brew package installer, and with that package installer he's going to install a lot of other packages that are not useless, but in this case are not helpful. So he's going to use a lot of memory just for nothing. And also in my specific case, as I'm a student of 42 Barcelona, in here we have all our users in our computers, and we have a limited space of memory. And since Brew is going to occupy like 4 or 5 gigs just for all the other packages that I don't use them, I'm going to install Vim manually, so I will have a lot more space that I can use for my files and stuff. Otherwise, my user space, user memory is going to be always full. Here it is almost finished. We just wait a second. Another thing, the folder in which we are going to put the binary is a folder that you can call it whatever name you want. I'm going to call it local bin. So in order to put the binaries into the folder, you have to create the folder first. And we're about to do it now. So we're going to the home directory, which it is really easy. Just do cd and enter, and then here we're going to create with the command make dir our folder in which we're going to put all the binaries. I call it local bin because it's just a reminder of me to use it like this. Okay, file exists because I already created it. As we can see with ls, I already have the ls -la. I already have the local bin, which is here, the local bin folder, and it doesn't have anything in it because I just created it. Okay, so now what are we going to do is we're going into the Vim folder that I just downloaded into the desktop, which is here. Okay, we're going into the Vim folder, and it has a lot of files into it, as you can see, and we're going specifically into the source folder, in which it contains the script which is called configure, that is going to create a makefile with some basic configuration of the Vim. We can also do it outside of the source folder, but it's better to do it inside of the source folder where there are all the files that concerns the Vim installation. Now what the process is doing, the configure is not a simple, but is a bash script, which is really complex. It was not simple, sorry. Which is really complex, and it is used to check all the libraries installed into the system that you're using, and is going to create a makefile based on the library that you have, and is going to create a basic configuration into the makefile for the installation of the Vim. Now that we created the configure, we're going to open with our editor that you have pre-installed. I have Vim 8.2. As we can see now, I have Vim which is 8.2.49, which I'm going to update. And with the Vim, we're going to open the makefile that is just being created. And we're going to change some basic settings for us in order to use it with the plugins that we're going to install in other lectures, in other lectures. We are going to create we are going to go to enable the interpreter of Python 3. We're going to enable the terminal, and then we are going to say we're going to change the prefix, which is going to be the path of where Vim is going to be installed. So we're going to the line 470. So let's just start with some shortcuts of the Vim in order to use it better. If you want to reach a specific line of the file in which you are in, you just type the line and you type 2 times GG. So in this case, as you can see the line here below, 441. This is the line that we have to go, and we have to delete the hashtag, because the hashtag in the makefile is a line which is commented. By deleting the hashtag, we are going to activate the variable, which is conf of Python 3, as you can see here, and which will say to the installer that we are going to enable the Python 3 interpreter. Now we're going to this line here, which is the line of the terminal here, which is 481, and in this line we're going to delete hashtag as well, and we're going to enable the terminal, which is just a configuration that will enable a fastest terminal in our Vim, because in our Vim we can also open a terminal window in order to compile the program that we are editing, and it's even much faster to program in that way. Now we're going to the line 540, and we're gonna also activate this line. This is just an optional thing, and it's just in order to it is written here, for including a specific email address for the version. This is a command that will let you know which version you have installed of Vim and who installed it. This is just optional, but to change something on the Vim, you have to press the E button in order to go into insert mode. As you can see down below, it's called insert, and if I press ESC, I'm gonna get out of the insert mode, and this is the normal mode where I just can select with the mouse or just move with the arrows. But in order to change the file, you just have to press E and then change it. I'm gonna write my name, and then here, also with the arrows, you can move right down, up and right, left, up and down. And then here I'm going to put the email of my campus. Okay. And then to save the file, you have to ask to go into normal mode, where you don't have anything here down below written, not insert, not visual, not anything. And then you put double point and W. To do a command into Vim, you have also to press double point, and the cursor will move here down below, and will allow you to write the command that you want to execute. For example, to save, as I did with W. To close the file, you put the Q. Okay, and then I just close the file, and to enter it again, we just do the Vim. Now let's go to line 950, I think, which is here, yeah, which is 957, which is the prefix. Here is really important. The prefix is the place where the makefile is going to save and to move all our files that are important to us. Specifically, what do we have here? The binary files, the binary files that are here, the main files, which are the files that describe how you use Vim and just manuals, and the data files, which are the files that currently are the objects that are compiled by the makefile in order to create the binary, which is going to be our Vim program. So we just activate the prefix, which is going to be in home, and you just leave it like that because we don't want to change it. What we want to change is the folder of the bin directory, because we want to install the bin, which is the binary, which is actually the program itself, into our folder that we just created. So how we do it? We do it by calling home here. To call a variable into the makefile, you have to put the $sign and you put the variable between the brackets, simple brackets. The home variable is a variable which is in the system and is in the Linux is /home/your user. My name vduki, as we've seen before, and in macOS is, I think, /users/your user, and this is a default setting of all the Linux and all the Unix-based OS systems, operative systems. Sorry. So we put it in home local bin. I call it local bin. You can call it however you want. It's up to you. And in the bin dir, now this variable says that the binary is going to be, all the binaries of the Vim are going to be put into this folder, home local bin. Now we save it and we exit. Notice that I can also do WQ to save it and to exit at once. And now what we do is we run the make file. How to run a make file? Just simply call the make command. And this will compile all the files that are into the Vim program, and we'll create all the objects, which are the .c file compiled. And once it's finished, we're going to do make install, which is going to link all the objects and create our binary and put our binary in our specific directory that we specified before. We have to wait a little bit because it's going to take a little bit, and yeah, and that's it. Just wait. It's going to take a while because the Vim is a really huge program. Okay, it is almost finished, I think. Okay, now when we have done that, we're going to do the command make install, as I said it before, in which that is going to link all the objects, create the binary, which is the program itself, and put it in the folder that we have specified and created before. If we didn't have created the folder before, it would have given an error. Be really careful and follow the steps, follow this guide step by step. Don't jump anything. Okay, now we have installed our Vim into the local bin directory, but it doesn't work. Why, would you ask? If we open a simple Vim, okay, we'll notice that still we have the version which is 8.2, which is not the version that we installed. But if we go to the folder where we put our binary, which is just go cd and it's going to go to home, and let's go to the local bin. Okay, it has, as you can see here, the Vim has inserted a lot of binaries and folders. We are just going to need the Vim binary. To run a binary, you just have to put point slash and the binary itself, and it's going to run the binary that you called, not the binary that is calling as default. And as you can see here, we have the new Vim with the new version. Okay, but the problem is that we cannot just go every time into this folder and call the binary this specific binary. The system, the Unix system works this. Every operating system works this way. When you call a command or a program, it tries, the terminal itself tries to find the program or the executable into the folders which are contained into the path environmental variable. What is an environmental variable? An environmental variable is a variable that is created when you start the terminal, and it says some details about the terminal itself, about which prompt you are using, and also the path variable and also the path. The path is a collective of paths of folders in which the terminal itself can find an executable or a program. And how you can see all the variables? With the command env, which is going to show you a lot of variables, as you can see right now. And the variable which we are concerned the most is this variable path. As you can see here, there are a lot of different folder paths divided by the double point, and these are the folder where the terminal goes to find an executable when you are calling an executable or a command. What we are going to do is we are going to modify the configuration of the terminal that will add this folder that we just created as the first folder. So then when you call an executable, it will look firstly in our folder and then in all of this folder, because if you put it at the end, like after snap bin, it's going to look firstly at all these directories, and if it finds one that is the same as what we are called, it's going to run that one and not the one that we just installed manually. So for example, if you call Vim is pre-installed on you can also install it on MacOS, it's pre-installed I think, and on Linux you have to install it, but if it installs on US local bin. So if we put our folder at the end, it's gonna always run this one, the Vim that is going to be included into this folder, not our Vim. So what we do is we are going to put our folder path firstly before all the other paths. How we do it? Do we do it? We just go to the home, and there is a specific file which is the configuration of the shell that we are using now, which is the terminal, and it's called ZSHRC. Mine is full of comments and stuff that I added before. But what we do is just we go to the end and we add a new line of the code. To add a new line of the code, you just go to the end and then to another shortcut of Vim is when you want to write on a line below the line that you are in with the cursor, you just press O. So it goes down and it goes into insert mode directly. So to change the path variable, we use a specific command which is called export. And how do we do it? We do it export path equal. I'm going to do it and then I'm going to explain what is going on. Home slash local bin double point path. So this command will be run every time you open a terminal, because every time you open a terminal, this whole script is going to be executed. And what happens here is the export command is going to create a new path variable in which you will have the directory of our local bin, our folder where you have all the executable that you want to add, and after that is going to take the previous value of the path and add it afterwards. So the path is going to be the previous path, but before our old paths, it will have our directory that we just created, as we can see here. So here, previously, we have the path that, as you can see, started with user local s bin and then user local bin. But if we close it and open it again, it will run the ZSH script, and as you can see, if I call end, the path now has as the first directory our directory that we just inserted, and then all the others. So then, if we call the Vim script from wherever we want, we can also go to the desktop, for example, or we can also go, I don't know, we can go to the download, for example, to the downloads folder, and we call it Vim. It will look into our local bin, into our directory we created to run this program. And then there we have it. We have the 9.0.16 Vim. So that is it. And this is the first video actually about installing Vim. There are going to be other videos that I'm going to record as what about how to use the basics of Vim, and then how to implement a really good, well done Vim configuration on the Vim RC in order for us to make things a lot faster for what regards editing files, going through directory, creating files, using the terminal into the Vim itself in order to compile and check our files or compile our program and to test it, and as well as all the plugins that we can add into the Vim in order for us to facilitate our work, like for example CTAX, which is a really well done plugins that can let us go into the function that we call just by opening the files in another tab, and it's just really useful because in Visual Studio we are used to work with tabs as well as in all the other editors that are available, and in order to do so we're going to use these plugins, which is famous and really good. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll see you until the next video.